We're going to take you out now to Contra Costa County, where there is a press conference with the Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office. They are announcing charges in a case involving Danville officer Andrew Hall and Tyrell Wilson. Let's listen in.
Officer Hall's unreasonable force used during the 2018 shooting of Mr. Arboleda. The charges also include enhancements, personal use of a firearm. The second felony count, an assault charge, also has an enhancement for Officer Hall's unlawful activity causing great bodily injury to Mr. Arboleda. Overall, Officer Hall could face 22 years in state prison, and he would be prohibited from being a peace officer if convicted. I should underscore that Officer Hall is presumed innocent under the law, and these criminal charges are allegations. Ultimately, I am confident a jury of Officer Hall's peers will review this case with great care and consideration and ultimately hold Officer Hall accountable. The unnecessary death of Mr. Arboleda underscores the need for law enforcement personnel to better understand those who are suffering from mental illness. To review some of the timeline of events leading up to the shooting, on November 3rd, 2018, at 11:03 a.m., Danville Police Department officers responded to a call reporting that Laudemer Arboleda rang the doorbell of a resident on Cottage Place and was lingering in the area. Mr. Arboleda subsequently drove away from the neighborhood in a 2014 silver Honda. Officers initiated a traffic stop of Mr. Arboleda's vehicle. When the officers exited their patrol car to approach him, Mr. Arboleda drove away from the officers. Additional patrol cars joined the traffic pursuit, which lasted for a total of about 9 minutes and reached maximum speeds of around up to 50 miles per hour. Mr. Arboleda continued to drive towards Front Street in Danville. Officer Hall, who was not involved in the initial pursuit, stopped his vehicle in front of the approaching pursuit. As Mr. Arboleda slowly maneuvered between Officer Hall's vehicle and another police vehicle involved in the pursuit, Officer Hall ran around the rear of his vehicle and fired his semi-automatic pistol at Mr. Arboleda. Mr. Arboleda was hit 9 times. As Officer Hall fired, Mr. Arboleda's vehicle continued into the intersection of Front Street and Diablo Road and struck a 2006 silver Jeep occupied by an adult citizen. Officers responded and found Mr. Arboleda in his car, unresponsive, with his foot on the gas pedal. He was taken to San Ramon Valley Medical Center and pronounced dead at 11:44 a.m. The filing of this case took time. It took time due to the backlog of prior law enforcement involved fatal incidents my office is investigating. I am doing everything that I can to end this backlog and to ensure our independent investigations conclude in an expeditious manner. Last year, I completely retooled my office's approach to investigating these complex and sensitive incidents. I have instilled a new team approach to these investigations to ensure we are independent and to ensure that we are thorough. I am committed to publicizing the results of our investigations. Further, if we do not file charges, we will release a full public report. Officer Hall used unreasonable and unnecessary force when he responded to the in-progress traffic pursuit involving Laudemer Arboleda, endangering not only Mr. Arboleda's life, but the lives of his fellow officers and citizens in the immediate area. We in law enforcement must conduct ourselves in a professional and lawful manner when interacting with the public. Officer Hall's actions underscore the need for a continued focus on de-escalation training and improved coordinated responses to individuals that are suffering from mental illness. In terms of next steps, Officer Hall will be arraigned before a judge. We do not have a timeline yet on when that will happen. I want to thank all of you for coming today, and I am here to answer your questions.
Did you guys file right now because of A, the recent news or B, the other shooting?
I'm sorry. Could you? I didn't hear the beginning.
Did you guys file the charges right now because of A, either the recent news that's happening nationwide or the other shootings that he was involved in?
No, we did not. As I mentioned, we retooled our team's approach. We have been working on this particular case for some time, and it is mere coincidence of the other incidents and the recent verdict.
Is it your
If you could come forward, please, when you ask your question, just come forward a little bit.
Is it your understanding that that Mr. Hall would have been returning to desk duty very soon if he would not, if the charges wouldn't have been filed?
I don't have any information about his current assignment.
Obviously, the Tyrell family has got to be wondering what took so long, and would this officer have been on the street if the DA's office had acted sooner? Obviously, you're well aware of that.
Yes, yes, I am. I can only answer the portion that deals with my office's investigation. As I have indicated, when I took office, I did promise that we would have a thorough and independent investigation. In addition to that, it was necessary for us to completely retool the system that we were using to investigate these cases. We were not using what I would call best practices in these instances. So we had to retool. We moved from a single person and to a team approach in this office so that we now have a different approach, which we hope will lead us to be able to expeditiously release our findings in the future. We also are working our way through that backlog now as we go forward. So we're continuing with the backlog of cases, and unfortunately, we'll have to also contend with any new cases that might come up.
Officers, can I just follow up? How many other police officer shootings are you investigating in this backlog?
Sure.
That have been, I mean, this one is 3 years old.
To date, we have one left from 2018. We released our first report, you might recall, in December of last year. We have 3 from 2019. We have 3 from 2020 and 1 in 2021.
Any plans to change the way you're recruiting or training officers?
In my office, we're not doing the recruiting or the training. So
Any policy changes?
That would not be something that I could respond to.
So I think most of us have seen the video, and obviously you and your attorneys have. Can you walk us through, because he is not stopping, he's being pursued. He's trying to then maneuver his car between 2 parked patrol cars. So what is it in that moment where you feel that the officer's actions or decision to shoot into the car was not justified? Had he rammed one of those patrol cars in an effort to get away, would that have changed the calculus?
Well, I cannot speak to what did not happen in this particular case. My team has done a very, very careful and thorough review of this particular incident, including not only reviewing all of the reports, but also reviewing all of the body cam and any other video that were available to us. We do believe that this was an incident where Officer Hall killed without a lawful excuse or justification.
Can you speak to when you made that change?
Do you mind stepping forward, please?
Can you speak about when you made the change from the single investigator to the team approach? How long ago that was and how long?
It has been evolving. We started the approach in preparing for it in 2019. It was actually in 2020 that we began to really put our teams in place. Towards the end of last year, we were able to conduct a training. We have now also teams of attorneys that we did not have before. We have attorneys who have at least 10 years of experience in our office, who have also tried homicide cases, who are now responding as well, along with our investigative teams on the ground. So we have retooled both our investigative side and we have retooled our attorney side as well. The attorney teams go out, teams of 2, and so now when there is an incident that we are called to investigate, our teams of investigators along with our teams of attorneys are on the ground at the same time.
The sheriff's office cleared Officer Hall of any wrongdoing in terms of department policy almost immediately after this incident. You're now charging him with crimes. Where is the discrepancy there? Are you saying that department policy could allow for illegal actions, or that the internal investigation itself was wrong?
Yeah. Without speaking to any investigation that was conducted outside of my office, I can tell you that based on our review of the facts in this particular case, we charged this case. As I've indicated since I took office, we will make a very careful and thorough review of every case that comes into our office. And we are mindful of the way that we charge cases, and we make sure in our office that we bring charges that we believe are appropriate and that can be proven by the facts. I pledged that when I took office, and I am mindful of the way we charge this case today, and that certainly applies here as well.
You have to work with the Sheriff's Department, you have to work with the police agencies. How do you keep that firewall between your investigators on these officer-involved shootings and the work that you have to do with these different law enforcement agencies on other crimes?
Well, it is true that we have to work every day hand in hand with law enforcement. That is part of how we prosecute cases, how we bring individuals to justice and hold them accountable, and how we bring justice to victims who have been harmed. It is also the reality that is, at this moment, when there is a fatality in our county at the hands of law enforcement, that we are required to investigate those cases. And so we do the best that we can to make sure that we are keeping our investigation independent, that we're keeping it thorough, and that we're reviewing and making our decisions on the facts.
So I can very easily sort of hear the counter argument of a defense attorney, or perhaps even the police officers union, saying that officers have to make split-second decisions in dangerous situations to protect their lives and the lives of the public, and now you're second-guessing that. To that argument, your response is what?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would respond that officers have very tough jobs, and sometimes they face incredibly challenging situations. I understand how hard they work to protect each and every one of us. As I've indicated, my office only brings charges that are appropriate and those that we believe can be proven by the facts, and that is certainly the case in this instance.
What was it that you had said that it was voluntary manslaughter was the charge? Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And what was so the next level above that would have been second-degree murder, correct? Is that
Well, I believe you're...
pecking order, and what made it so you could not charge more aggressively?
Certainly. Well, I believe that you're asking for the distinction between charging murder and charging manslaughter, in this case, voluntary manslaughter. And we believe that in this case, the facts lend us to charging voluntary manslaughter. Murder requires that there be malice aforethought, which we do not believe can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
So what is central to a manslaughter case? Is it a reckless disregard for human life, or?
Manslaughter, as defined in the statute, is the unlawful killing of a human being without malice. And in this case, we believe that Officer Hall killed without lawful excuse or justification.
Does not a case like this hinge upon what was going through the officer's mind, or their perceived threat in the moment, and how they responded to that? I mean, isn't that a tough hill to climb for a prosecutor?
I think we have to analyze the case on the facts and the totality of the circumstances. Yes.
Are you guys looking into the second shooting to possibly file charges there?
That case is currently still in its investigative stages.
By you?
Yes.
So the DA's office is investigating that shooting?
Yes, it is a fatality, and according to the protocol in Contra Costa County, we have an independent, thorough investigation that is in progress.
Can you kind of make a pledge to the family or to the public that it won't take 2.5 years to arrive at a decision in this more recent shooting?
Certainly, because as I've indicated, that we have this new process that is in place so that our teams can move much more quickly. We anticipate, according to our protocol here in Contra Costa County, an investigation is not complete until there is the coroner's inquest that is conducted by the Sheriff's Department. And thereafter, we would be releasing our findings.
You know, I imagine if you talk to one of these two families, they would say that justice is not defined simply by charging an officer, that they would like to see a successful prosecution. If you fall short of that goal, where does that leave us?
Well, I think in any case, we do the best that we can to review the facts and to charge the case based on the facts that we believe we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, obviously, there is no prosecution that anyone can promise with 100% certainty will be successful. But we have done our best to charge based on the facts and based on our reasonable belief that we can convince 12 jurors beyond a reasonable doubt.
Just to be clear on the retooling of the teams and that being a reason for the delay, are you saying that you had to do that before fully investigating the case, and did that cause a backlog of other investigations?
Well, it all sort of kind of goes hand in hand, because after we have the teams in place, then we have to go back and take a look at the case. They have to be reviewed from top to bottom. These are serious and complicated cases that have many nuances to them, so the team has to start all over from the beginning, reviewing each police report, each video, et cetera, et cetera.
Can you say how many attorneys are on the team, and do they all agree on both charges? How did you come to the...
How many attorneys we have assigned to these kinds of cases?
Yeah, and did everybody have to come to the same conclusion?
We have roughly 10 attorneys now who are working on our cases.
Your officer involved shooting cases?
I'm sorry.
Your officer involved shooting cases, or all of your cases?
Our officer involved shooting cases, yes. Okay, thank you all for your time.
And we can do one-on-ones too if you guys have any follow-ups. And then I have a complaint too, if you guys.
We're just listening in on a press conference with the Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office. They are actually charging Officer Hall, Danville Police Officer Hall, in the death of Laudemer Arboleda. He was shot multiple times as Arboleda was driving towards Hall in it was a pursuit back in 2018. I'll have more on this story for you coming up on Cron 4 News at 5, but we're going to